White Republicans in Tennessee are absolutely nuts. Tennessee State Representative Justin Pearson needed to fact check Representative Michelle Renault after she used the Bible to literally justify the founding fathers being slave owners. She argued they shouldn't be judged because slavery was normalized during their time. Here is the verbal lashing she received from a descendant of a slave.
These Democrats got to be the dumbest, some of the dumbest people you know, man. They are intelligent scholastically, but they're dumb. Like, you really believe that these W's and these immigrants really see you as human, really love you. They love the things you produce and create, but they don't rock with you like that. Of course they're going to use the Bible to justify slavery. Listen, for a long time, they was forced to take off their sheets, put on judge robes, put on police uniforms, be your doctors, be everything that they could possibly be, but go undercover. They could not be overtly racist for a long time. Now we're in a climate where they can come out from under their rocks. They can come out from under the manholes and they can say what they really feel, right? And y'all are so upset because you never wanted the W man to change or want change. You just wanted him to treat you good to your face. You just wanted him to give you a pat on the back and tell you, good boy. So now when they really show who they really are, now your feelings is hurt. Now you're so upset. But you're proving to us that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party and all these parties and all these isms have been a colossal failure for foundational black Americans. Because in 2026, if you can still come on these floors and as legislators and make the comments or refer to slavery as a form of biblical stuff, that right there shows you that the needle hasn't been moved at all. Check it out.
Thank you for the question. As far as our founding fathers and those that owned slavery, it is important not to dilute history. We need to understand and know what that is so that we don't repeat those mistakes. But the Bible also says that we will be judged in the time of our culture. And at that time, it was a common practice. Not saying that's right or wrong. The Bible actually does instruct those who do own slaves on how to treat them and to treat them fairly and kindly. But our founding fathers definitely believe that all men were created equal, and it was those beliefs that moved us from the position of slavery to where we are today. So this particular legislation does not advocate to teach those things. I think we have many other pieces of civic education that likely does include that, but this intention for this legislation is for that to not necessarily be included.
Representative Pearson.
It is nearly unconscionable to believe that you just articulated the theological vision of enslavers in this Capitol in the year 2026 as though it was okay. Because here's your problem. The Bible, which was written in many different iterations, but is articulating a time of thousands of years ago, was used as justification for enslavement that happened thousands of years later, 400 years ago in our country. And so even if you're trying to articulate, as you are incorrectly, that the Bible was somehow giving permission to slavery, that would have been in the era in which it was happening. It wouldn't be used as a theological justification just 400 years ago in our nation's history. But what is worse, and what is deeply disturbing by what you have just said is not how you are saying, and that was wrong or immoral. There is no question that slavery was immoral. And you shouldn't need a Bible to know that. And there were always people who were antithetical to the antebellum South's iteration of chattel slavery. The people who were enslaved, who were kidnapped from the continent of Africa and brought here against their will. And I am a Christian, and I am a 7th-generation Tennessean. I have read the Bible from front to back. And the stories about love, about who Christ is, about loving thy neighbor and loving God is what we are told to profess. So anyone who misused the Bible to enslave people, misused the Bible to keep people in bondage, they were wrong then as you are wrong now. I refuse to support this legislation because the lens by which you are viewing the world is toxic, is damning, is wrong, and is immoral. And you my fellow colleagues should do much more work in understanding the history of this country and understanding the history of enslavement and the consequences that it continues to wreak and the barriers it continues to create in this state and around the country. No one should ever be able to use Christianity as justification for the enslavement of people, especially not someone who has the audacity to call themselves a legislator.
Now, let me say this, because this dude is upset and he's angry, he's pissed off. But the problem that we're making is, it's not the fact that she said it. It's the fact that she thought it was okay for her to say it. She didn't see no problem in saying what she said. None whatsoever. Absolutely none. She said it and she meant it. And she meant it. Right? And with all the things that we've been through as a people, that the mindset now, if she had the mindset to say that, how many other W's in other groups you think believe this, right? Now we know that they use the Bible for their own interpretation. We know what King Leopold told the Catholic Church to go and use the Bible that suits their needs only, right? Only give them certain scriptures. Well, they did the same thing here. They did the same thing in South Africa, right? We know during biblical slavery at times when you had to pay off a debt, they held you for 6 years. You was able to marry, like, there was different things. And we know that the selling of men was prohibited, right? But when it comes to chattel slavery, it was driven by economic greed. The colonialists, they had a desire for labor. And they did it off of racial inferiority, right? And racial classifications, right? To a point where you was a permanent slave, permanent underclass. Your children were born into slavery, right? You had no legal rights. You weren't even considered human. We know all this stuff. That woman knows this, but you are worse than the gum at the bottom of her feet. She don't see you as human. And this is why, as foundational Black Americans, we've been saying that the current power structure that's been speaking for us has been a colossal failure. And we don't want to be a part of it, right? We know that slavery was a total dehumanization of a people, right? We were classified as chattel property. We know that, right? But y'all so upset. Your feelings is hurt because you thought you was making headway. You thought that these people really loved you, but they're not done.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Was that a lie? And are we going to teach that?
Representative Renaud.
No, that is not a lie. And it's that the founders believed that so much that they put that into our founding documents. At the time, and you'll remember history, that it took many, many hundreds of years to be able to rectify what our culture at that time. But putting those words into the documents is what allowed us to move forward and unfortunately, it inched. It wasn't an immediate change, but those words ring true still today. And it's the progress that we have made as a culture and the values that America was founded on have allowed us to move forward and to be able to recognize that all men are created equal.
Representative McKenzie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm a Black man, and the person that had me during those times was a Black man. When historically accurate, not cultures and evolution and how things evolved, but historically accurate, that was a lie. My forefather was not treated equally, was not considered to be a man. So for you to say we're going to have this historically accurate teaching and not teach that is just flat wrong. Historically accurately means when they put pen to paper, they said all. They did not mean all. That's all. They did not mean all. So if we're going to do this historically accurately, let's do it. If we're not, if we're going to be able to pick and choose, then that's not the way we should teach. And say that this is now a historically accurate statement, since we've evolved and we've got better and we've understood the mistakes of the past. the mistakes of the past says that my predecessor was not a man. So this is a lie. I love this country. I love the fact that our forefathers created, as Winston Churchill said, you know, democracy is horrible, but all of them the worst. All of them, the rest of them are worse. And I'm grossly paraphrasing that. But again, so that's not where I'm coming from. We have to accept that as African Americans that we were enslaved. We have to accept that, and we have to move on, and we have to make things better for us and the next generation. But for you to come here and say that we're going to teach something, we're going to now in 2026 teach something that's historically accurate, and it doesn't touch on that. And you say that these are one of the things that we're going to teach. So we're going to ignore that whole piece. But we're going to focus on where other people might have been from a religious standpoint because of a statement that they made here or there. You're not going to be able to prove that they were an active member of a church for a lot of them. You will not be able to prove that historically because several of them probably had some things that they put in pen to paper that talked about their faith. But historically, you're not going to do that. But here we are having this conversation, and you're ignoring this gaping hole in the creation of our great country. It's got a problem with that. This is just flat out not, it's not the way to teach historically accurate information. Either you teach it all, or we just move on and say that this time, these documents are great documents. These are great documents that we want all our children to understand. But to say because some people have said that some of these were atheists, some of them not, we'll deal with that, but we're not going to deal with the gaping hole is wrong. You know, and my question to you is on a whole different level. How many of the forefathers that signed these documents were immigrants, were first generation United States eventual citizens?
Representative Renaud.
First, to address your question about the factualness of the documents, if you would like to sponsor legislation to teach the aspects of slavery, I certainly would support you in that. But this legislation specifically is to teach the meaning of what the founders meant about our rights coming from our creator and not government, and then to dispel the myth that many of our founding fathers were, in fact, not atheist or deist. Even Benjamin Franklin was raised Presbyterian. He's known as our most secular founding father. He was perhaps religiously unorthodox, but he affirmed his belief in a providence. So when I said the legislation says moral belief, it is addressing moral belief in that regard, that maybe he didn't claim a certain denomination or religion, but he did in fact affirm a belief in providence, as many of his documents did state. There are among the 39 signers of the Constitution, a majority of them were Anglican and Episcopalian. But we had other Presbyterian, Congregationalists, Quakers, Methodists, one Catholic. But even those that were deist-leaning did affirm or acknowledge providence, which we associate with the Creator.
Take the emotion out and let's slow down. Let's slow it down. This fool, when he's talking, he mentioned the so-called forefathers as our forefathers. Our so-called forefathers owned slaves as well. They didn't see you as human. They didn't see you as equal to them. So these people are trying their best to get butter biscuits off the table, even when they're complaining, because they don't want equality. They just want to be treated nice. Just don't call me that word. Just don't call me a slave. Just no. These people do not want to be independent of W's, because if things go wrong, they don't have the W to blame. They don't want to be on their own. They don't want full autonomy over themselves. These are not our people, man. Right? They up there complaining to this lady, but then he refers to these people as the forefathers. The same people that was doing all kinds of wild stuff to our ancestors, man, producing mixed race children and calling them mulattoes and mules and all kinds of stuff. And you got the audacity while complaining to call them your forefathers? You can't be serious. But this is, again, This is the stuff that us as FBAs are talking about, man, are talking about. You're complaining in one breath, but one acceptance in another breath. We're sitting here like this. Like, you can't be serious. You can't make this stuff up, man. You can't make it up. But then you had a W legislator. He get up there because he saw his chance. Man, maybe I can get some black votes if I get up there and say the things that they want to hear. Let me get up there and vehemently disagree with this other W, and let me get on the side of these colored people. Let me get on the side of these shines. Let me get on the side of these porch monkeys. Let me get on the side of whatever all the names they got to call they call us, right? Let me get on their side and say what they want to hear, and then we'll see how this thing turn out.
County. If we're going to teach history, let's teach history. Some of our history is ugly in this country. And there are people over the years that have twisted and poisoned what the Bible says to try to justify an evil act. I stand as a member of the party of Lincoln that he founded. Slavery was, is, and will forever be an evil stain on our country's history. It hurt then, it hurts now, it lingers in the heart of every one of us. The amendment says that this has to be historically accurate and devoid of politically advocacy, that they're going to have to pick a video to teach about this. I don't know about the sponsor, but I know my friend from Knox County is going to be watching real close to see what that video says, and I will be too. Because if it's not historically accurate, if it doesn't talk about the evil of slavery and the struggles that our country have been through every day from then till now, because some person thought it was okay to sell an individual to another individual. It was evil then, it's evil now, it will forever be evil. This is not partisan. If you're on this floor and you are a racist, you cannot be Christian. You could be Christian or you could be racist. You can choose God and you can choose love, or you can choose hate. You cannot choose both. So surely to goodness, we can stand together on this to say this should be historically accurate. But again, they're going to pick a video here to make it historically accurate. I certainly hope that they show the good, the bad, the ugly, the evil and the right as we move past that dark time, but remember it accurately.
So again, the W had to come up there and run interference, right? He had to come up there and say, you know, because he figured, man, she falling on the sword with this one. Man, I can't. Oh, you see how this turned out? I can't go that route. I'm gonna go and tell these Negroes. I'm gonna go and tell the colors what they want to hear. Let me tell you something, man. We got over 400 years of history here. Our story is our story, right? We're not gonna be neglected and disrespected no more. That woman went up there and went and referenced the Bible to justify slavery, knowing damn well chattel slavery was worse than any other slavery ever known. She knows this, but she ain't got to respect you. Who are you? You ain't nothing but just a bunch of colored people. That's the way that they view us. So remember, I tell you, family out there, you teach people how to treat you. And the way that we've been going about these things in the last 65 years have been a colossal failure. And we have to change up things. We have to do things differently. We're not doing things the same way, because if we were doing things in the manner in which we're doing them now, they wouldn't have the heart to come out there and talk this way. Again, I'm going to say it again to the family. It's not the fact that she said it. It's the fact that before those words came out of her mouth, in her mind, she thought it was okay for her to say it. That's a direct indictment on us. We haven't done a good enough job in teaching people how to treat us going forward, right? Uncompromising. That's how we got to be now. Because even that black dude was talking, he talking about those forefathers is all. They ain't our forefathers. Who the hell you think you talking to? Heck no. Heck no. And the North was just as racist as the South. You understand what was going on in black Chicago, black Philadelphia, black Boston, these high sedity W folks? Man, miss me with that, man. So now y'all want to complain. You want to complain because the Latinos ain't rocking with you. They want to identify as W's. And these W's are coming out from under their manholes and their rocks. And they letting you know what they really think about you. They letting you know how they really see you. And now it's too much for you to handle. You on the Congress floor and Senate floors crying. Well, some of, I ain't going to say that. But you on those floors crying now because you finding out because they showing you who they really are. But foundational black Americans stand up. We ain't going for it. We're changing the narrative. It's a new day. And they know that we're not going for it. You don't get to talk to us like that because we know our history and we're not going for it. But if y'all made it this far in the video, hit that like button, subscribe to Street Media TV, leave your comments in the comment section. Remember, I love y'all. Till the next time, peace.